On another exciting entry of Animation Deliberation, the time has come. The Spider-Verse has returned. We are giving our instant reaction to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We're going to get right into that after this. Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series. Yeah. Welcome to Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. My name is J Scotty St. Clair, and today I am very excited to be joined by a friend of the show, someone I've wanted to have on the show for a long time. It is the host of the wonderful Captain Gameshow, Mr. John Irons. Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I have listened to you sing that song many, many times, but it is truly a different experience to see it, to witness it live, to see it happen. Great.
Yeah, it's been one of those things. I've tried to work with some musicians to see if we can get some background music made, and I actually used Fiverr to get this guy to lay some drums, but I just need to work on my vocal timing and figure out how exactly to get that uploaded to our recording software and whatnot. But I'm glad that it still entertains. I try to keep it fresh, and I love doing it, so I'm glad people enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought it was great.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to bury the lead here because I know people are excited to hear about Across the Spider-Verse. But one more thing, one of my favorite things is when you sent us your rendition of the I Am Groot to the tune of Animation Deliberation. That was wonderful. So
This is my pleasure.
Yeah.
I was inspired.
Good. I'm so glad. All right. So, yeah, we're here to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. This is your spoiler warning. I don't really want to tiptoe around spoilers too much. If you find yourself able to, if you want to give like maybe just a quick reaction to avoid spoilers, to give people maybe like a little bit of a window so they can just hear our initial thoughts and then dip out. But I don't want to dilly-dally too much. So what did you think?
I'll give a quick spoiler-free
Sure.
review. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I am on record. Into the Spider-Verse is one of my favorite movies. I think it's a practically perfect film. So, I mean, I expected good things, but it was kind of a hard act to follow.
Oh yeah.
And I avoid spoilers, of course, but I avoid trailers. Like the less I know going into a movie, the better. So there were a lot of great surprises in this, and I don't know if you guys do like a rating scale, but
Yeah, go for it.
Pretty much, I'm gonna say like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Nice. Yeah, likewise, I'm pretty high on this one. I really enjoy that Into the Spider-Verse, the first one, and this, like you said, it was going to be a tough act to follow, but my expectations were pretty high, and somehow this film exceeded my expectations. If that first film like pushed the envelope, like this one reinvented the envelope. If the first one was cutting edge, this one was bleeding edge. Like it was just I feel like all my dopamine and serotonin was like used during this experience because it was just such a visual treat. And you brought up the trailers. I did watch all the trailers that came out for it, and I thought it was an excellent job in terms of the marketing. It teased some things, but I was really impressed with the level of restraint there. Like they showcased the Spider-Verse and a lot of the spider people we were going to be exposed to, but it really did not give that much away in terms of the story. And I found myself engaged the entire time, like not feeling like I had seen any of this before. So
I was because we were planning when to see it. Like, okay, well maybe we'll see it Friday, maybe we'll see it Sunday. And I was like, hey, actually, you know what? I think I can take the kids to see it tonight. And I was like, how long is this movie? Like, this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's like a real movie. It's not like a kid's movie.
Right.
And you don't I did not feel the 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It went fast. It was like, I mean, bumping up against the spoiler without spoiling.
Yeah.
When it ended, I was like, that's the ending. I was not prepared.
Yeah. I was prepared, and I was actually I was a little surprised. I guess not very surprised, but when I was leaving the theater, I heard some of the people that I saw the movie with, their reactions. They were like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to end on such a cliffhanger." And I guess I knew, just like having paid close attention to like the announcements surrounding this movie and knowing some of
Hmm.
the things about the production, it was marketed as Across the Spider Verse Part One for a long time, and
Yeah,
then they changed
that
the
I do
title.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't too surprised. But you mentioned your kids, and we can just get into spoilers now. And
Hmm.
I am curious about what your kids thought about it, because like the first one I felt like did such a great job between entertaining the kids and having a lot of humor and heart and being like a coming of age story. And I've been on record as kind of saying like I felt that first one was kind of like a deconstruction of the character of Spider-Man while it introduced Miles, but was also like a celebration of the legacy of Spider-Man. While this one
Hmm.
actually really felt like it was thrusting Miles' story and his journey forward now that he is like Spider-Man in his own right. And um, to that end, it was a lot darker than the first one for sure. It definitely had comedy, but overall the tone was a lot darker, and especially with that cliffhanger ending. So I'm curious what your kids thought about it. What? Yeah.
I didn't get a like a full review. I
Okay.
just the quick, hey, did you guys like it? They
Sure.
they they both really liked it. My
Okay.
kids are 9 and 12,
Okay.
and my older child, my daughter, they both watch a lot of YouTube, right?
Okay.
So she's like, okay, I have a theory. I'm like, okay, wait, is this a theory or is this something that you know from watching you? And no,
uh,
no, it's just a theory. Um, and I'm not gonna say what it was, but
no.
she called it.
Oh, okay.
She was correct. It was about the origin of the spider,
Okay.
uh, which she said she didn't know. I'm gonna take her at her word.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it was because they love the original as much as I do,
Yeah.
and you are I'm definitely gonna co-sign the darker tone. Like you can see physically that Miles is older. Like
Oh, sure.
I think you said like a year and a half older. So he's several inches taller. He's leaned out. Like he's an older guy,
Hmm.
and just in terms of the way the movie presented, like the first one. Not that the first one was a kids movie,
Sure.
but this one does have more mature. It doesn't. It doesn't. I was gonna say it doesn't pull any punches. Like the first one, kind of. I mean, it's just. I don't even know how to talk about it, which is
no,
probably the worst thing to say on a animation
no,
discussion
no.
podcast.
It's
But it,
it's all good.
but
I
no, yeah, it's really it it was way more sophisticated
sure.
than I thought it was gonna be. I guess probably the way that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of picked up on a note of melancholy a little bit, especially with like the revelations. Like you mentioned your daughter calling the origin of the spider, and I did a rewatch of the first one like the night before. I went and saw this one, and it did kind of like stick out to me just how much they broadcasted like the 42. And obviously at the
Hmm.
time I didn't really know what to make of that. Like I knew it was from another dimension, but I just didn't expect for it to factor into the plot that much. And I thought that was
Right.
great, and is like some existentialism there. Like Miles was never supposed to be Spider-Man, and he's like kind of by extension responsible for Peter's death, and someone tells him just as much. I think Miguel tells him like, if
Yeah.
your Peter
He.
Parker hadn't had to save you, he'd still be alive. And like that's tough. And it really worked in tandem very nicely with the speech his mother gave him about like, no matter where you go, no matter what you see, the places you go, the people you interact with, know that you belong. Like take care of that kid. And I thought
Hmm.
that was a great through line. Like the story did end on a cliffhanger, but at least we had that as kind of a satisfying story beat that seemed to come full circle.
Yeah. It ends on a cliffhanger, but they set up. Oh, like the people in my theater were pissed.
Oh, were
Like,
they?
oh yeah, they were cussing. They were not happy. And it wasn't everybody, but it was a lot of people.
Uh
This woman lady was like, "I don't get my effing money back." Like, lady.
huh.
And both my kids were like, initially they were kind of pissed. And I was
Okay.
like, "Okay, let me remind you how Avengers Infinity War ended.
Sure.
Thanos won. He
Yeah.
dusted everybody. That was the end of the movie." It's
Right.
like, "Yeah, but it's different. It's not different.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's going to be another movie and the good Spider-Man are going to win."
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't get a post-credit scene, which I was completely okay with the way it ended. Like we did get that little tag about Morales will
Mhm.
return in Beyond the Spider-Verse, but you mentioned not feeling the runtime and the pacing being really great, and I completely agree
Yeah.
with you. It was pretty much nonstop. If it wasn't information that we were receiving, it was just tantalizing action sequences and like the same with the first one. Like you could pause any frame of this film and like frame that and put it on your wall, and it would be a beautiful piece of art. But what I did find interesting was that I think we've got like a good 15, 20 minutes into the runtime. I never stopped to look at my clock or anything like that because I was engaged, but it's a good chunk of time before we even see Miles again. We really focus
Hmm.
on Gwen Stacy and get to see
Yeah.
her backstory, which we got snippets of in the first one, but to see it actually play out, and I thought that worked really well to have her kind of be the conduit to introduce this like elite Spider Verse squad, and then instead of it like starting with Miles and her having to catch him up, it was like let's just introduce it, get you more endeared to this character, really be able to feel for her as much as you feel for Miles, and just like set up this concept. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all, and I also thought it was great. And it took me a while. This is one of the reasons that I love the original, and it's one of the reasons that I'm pretty sure I'm going to love the this one as much, if not more.
Hmm.
It is so packed with, it's not even Easter eggs. It's
Hmm.
just so well thought out. It's such a well crafted film.
Yeah.
Like just little things. Like okay, one of my favorite scenes in the first one is they're escaping from um, Alchemex. Is that the name of it?
Oh yeah, when Olivia
The,
Octavius is chasing them.
yeah,
Okay.
and he hits the guy in the head with the bagel, and
Yes.
it makes a little sound effect that says bagel. Great. And there's and it's a, it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment, and these films are full of that too. This film is full of that too.
Yeah.
And in the opening, in the intro, it starts off in Gwen Stacy's world,
Uh huh.
and it's similar enough to Miles's world that you don't necessarily pick up on it right away.
Right.
But the art style is different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The background is different. The way they move is different. The way they're animated is different.
Right.
And you know that intellectually because Anime Chick was anime, and
Right.
you know Peter Porker was like Looney
Cartoony.
Tunes.
Yeah.
But all of that still happened in Miles's world.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, we actually go to different Earths, and you
Right.
see the different animation styles happen there. And they fight a guy from like the Renaissance,
Yeah.
Vulture, the Da Vinci Vulture.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it is infinitely creative. It's fantastic.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. With Gwen Stacy's universe, I really felt like it had like a watercolor painterly feel. Like in
Hmm.
one thing I really picked up on was like the emotion or the sentiment that was being expressed was expressed through like cold colors or warm colors. When characters were
Yes.
distant from each other and feeling isolated, you had a cold color palette, and then when they embraced, everything got warmer. And like I'm actually getting goosebumps right now thinking
Yeah.
about that
Me
because
too.
it was so wonderful. Yeah.
And they would like the colors would literally radiate out from their bodies,
Yeah.
and you would like
Yeah.
you'd see the background slowly melt. Like
Yeah.
it's like you said, like you could freeze it and it's a piece of art.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way they, like, I mean, so when they go to the hub of Spider People, and
Hmm.
full disclosure, there's probably about 3 minutes of the film that I didn't see because, as I said, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I had a 9-year-old son,
Oh,
so
sure.
somebody had to take a quick break.
Oh,
Not even mad at it.
yeah. Do you remember around what point it was?
Yeah, it was right after they had saved the captain, or right after Miles had saved the captain.
Okay. Okay.
In was it Mumbaiton,
Mumbatan. Mumbai,
Mumbaiton?
Manhattan. Yeah, Mumbatan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're like, okay, well, now we need to definitely go talk to. We need to go talk to the big boss.
Oh, okay.
And so they were just about to portal and take Miles with them. And when I came back, he was kind of getting the tour.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So I don't think I missed much in terms of. I mean, obviously, I don't know what I didn't see, but I don't think I missed much in terms of story. I'm sure I missed a ton of Easter eggs.
yeah, there was like a 2 3 minute sequence where you just get, there's a Spider-Man from this universe, there's a Spider-Woman from this universe, there's a Spider-Person from this universe, and they mentioned the PS4 game. You saw his roommate playing it on the
Yes.
PlayStation earlier, but then they're like, we got a video game guy, and it's that version of Spider-Man. But
Oh, that's great.
one of my favorite. So when the Spot was first figuring out the extent of his powers, and he visited like Venom's world, and you saw the lady that owns the bodega, I thought that was great.
Yes.
But they just got better and better. Like when you saw Donald Glover as Aaron Davis as the Prowler, like that was I chef's
So
kiss. That
good.
was so good.
Right. And it's they reference like yeah, there's this don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the nerd kid
Oh
from
right.
Earth 616 wreaking havoc in the multiverse. I'm
Yeah.
like it's I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love because I'm also on record as saying canon is stupid.
Sure.
That the idea of canon is stupid because like people get to tell stories, and once you tell a story and you're just locked into that being the way that it is forever, like
Sure.
you do the world a disservice. But it's like they embrace the idea that canon is stupid,
Mm.
but also it's also their religion. Like it's done so well
Yeah.
that canon is like because they not they necessarily recognize their fictional characters, but because they are these characters,
Hmm.
canon is real.
Sure.
Like it really is canon. It's their life.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is their lives. It is this is the life of their universe. Universe is the multiverse,
Yeah.
and in some ways, it is similar to a lot of the other multiverse stuff that we've seen in the past couple of years.
Right.
But it's also a different take in that we, the audience, know because we know the story of Peter Parker, we know the story of Spider-Man, Spider People.
Right.
There's always a radioactive spider. There's always, a beloved caretaker person who
Hmm.
has to die.
Right.
There's always great power, great responsibility. There's always big eyes on the costume. Like there's some
Hmm.
things, some things that just are built into the story,
Hmm.
and them not only acknowledging that, but forcing it to play out
Yeah.
so that spider people can happen.
Yeah.
It is a moral ambiguity and consequence and that's what I mean by more sophisticated.
Sure.
Like that's like it's a real question. Like who's right?
Right.
Like he's Miguel isn't wrong. Like
Sure.
this stuff is his fault.
Yeah. Yeah. He is the original anomaly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of love that as well. Like I agree with you that like it had a lot in common with a lot of the multiverse stories we've seen, but it almost how do I want to say this? I so like if you look at something like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, or even like Spider-Man No Way Home, like they embrace the multiverse, but it's still very much beholden to the narrative and the continuity that they have there. Whereas this one, I feel like it's just kind of like busting the doors open. I think it almost has more in keeping with something like Lego Batman, which is just like hyper aware of the fact that like this is a
Yes.
franchise. And I think that makes sense with Lord Miller. Like they didn't direct Lego Batman, but they were still very much involved with its production. And
Yeah.
yeah, the fact that they call like them canon events, I feel like it was like thinking about like the Loki series, how we had Nexus events there, and it's like we're taking Nexus events to like the next level and calling them canon events.
Right. And and you know what and as you were talking, I kind of thought of a better way to articulate it.
Sure.
Like they do. It's like they represent both camps. Like
Mm,
the Miguel is like the canon is sacred.
yeah.
It's I don't know. Some of you guys might be nerds. I don't know. Nerds, geeks,
Yeah.
fans to the extreme.
Uh huh.
Uh, the canon is important, and Miles is like, no, canon's not important.
Yeah.
This is my life. I'm gonna I get to write a new story,
For sure.
and so they literally have like a physical representation of that debate on screen. It's just
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
No, I'm glad you took the opportunity to articulate that better, because I think that really just does speak to the character of Miles Morales. Like, that's who he was as a comic book character. Like, we knew Peter Parker as Spider-Man for so long, and then the creator's escaping my memory right now. Brian. I'm not going to be able to pull it, but
I'm not gonna.
the creator, like, it was just like, no, Spider-Man does not, and that's what the first film said too. Anyone can wear the mask, and just like, yeah, uh, like I kind of said, just like blew the doors wide open on what it means to be Spider-Man. And yeah, I agree with what you said. Like, that's who Miles is. He is not going to go with the status quo. He's going to buck against that, and forge his own path, which I think is great. Uh,
Brian Michael Bendis.
Brian Michael Bendis. There it is. Thank you, sir. Thank you for looking that up.
Yep. Don't thank me. Thank Google.
Thank you, Google. But another thing that kind of came to mind is you mentioned the bagel, and I love that they,
Mm,
like, the Spot himself was like, "I was the scientist that you hit with the bagel." Like, that was so great. Like,
yeah.
it made me really happy that I rewatched the movie so recently, because like with this one, like we said, like, never a dull moment. I feel like that was the same as the first one. Like, there's always something to pay attention to, and it just begs rewatches, and like, that's what makes them so rewatchable. They're so entertaining, and there's so much to catch. And this is one I'm definitely going to have to see a few more times. I'm going to see it at least once more in theaters for
Yeah.
sure, but it's going to be a day one purchase when it becomes available. Because yeah,
Absolutely.
I just
As was the last one for
sure.
me.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
I also like that. Crap! Just lost what I was going to say. Feel free to cut all this part out. um, oh, okay. I also liked that the Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, you kind of had to. I mean, obviously, you didn't have to, but to fully reap the benefits, you had to have seen the other Spider-Man
Sure,
movies,
sure.
right? This one, those movies are included, but it's so many iterations of Spider-Man. It's like
Hmm.
every iteration of Spider-Man. It's the if you watch the '60s cartoon, if you watched like two or three different ones of like the Marvel cartoons,
Sure.
from the '90s and 2000s. If you read the comics, if you saw those movies, if you saw the MCU movies, like
Hmm.
Lego, the
Yeah.
video game,
Yeah.
you know, there is if you're a fan of Spider-Man and have seen some Spider-Man before this,
Yeah.
then one of your Spider people is in there. Oh man, I loved Spider Woman,
Oh yeah.
Jessica Drew,
Right.
and I think I wasn't quite spoiled on that. I knew that people were mad about it, but I didn't know what they were mad about because I didn't read the story.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh no, she's black now." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay, yes." And there is a multiverse of Spider people.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
The one that you know from the comic book isn't this one. This is a
Right.
different one.
Yeah.
Like I don't like how is this the one?
And
You can accept black and white Spider Man. You can accept
yeah,
Art
yeah.
Deco Spider Man, but heaven forbid.
People love their fandoms, and they want to get protective over them, but I definitely am a proponent of the fact that, like, some criticism is valid and some is not, and I just think that's an instance where it's not. Just kind of get over it. And if you really do want to, like, uh, nitpick, her name is Jess Drew, not Jessica Drew, so it doesn't have to be your Jessica Drew from comics if you don't want it to be. But yeah, I
Also
thought
true.
I thought she was great. I loved Issa Rae. With the first one, I love the Spider people we got in that one, and it was nice to see Penny again. But I was kind of a little
Hmm.
worried as we were getting towards the end. I was like, oh no, are we not going to see Spider-Man Noir? Are we not going to see Spider Ham? And it was so nice to see them again at the end there. But they gave us a bunch of new ones to love, like David Kaluuya as Hobie Brown, Spider Punk. He was great. I
Yes.
loved his attitude, the anarchist bent, and the fact that, like, we talked about the different art styles, but he was done in this, like, propaganda, like, kind of like haphazard, like, always changing bold outlines. Like, he was
Yeah.
great, and I did have a hard time understanding him initially, but once my ear got kind of attuned to his accent, I was like, okay, I'm tracking now. This is great. And Yeah.
I love the little word captions at the bottom of the screen.
Uh-huh.
Just again, just like a comic book, little
Yeah.
extra bit of information like this character appeared in so and so. So good.
Yeah.
I like I already want to see it again.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing it again on Sunday. I'm like
Oh,
I might
nice.
see it again on Saturday.
Right on. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna see it again, and probably sometime this weekend. I'll have to take a look to see what seating availability looks like and whatnot, and see if I can bring a friend because I want everyone to see this. So we agreed to kind of keep this one on the shorter side. I also, want to leave plenty for my co-host to talk about. I know they were very excited to see this one as well and to talk about it, but wanted to get something out to the listeners as soon as possible. So we just did this instant reaction. I'll open up the floor to you if you had anything else you wanted to say about it, any standout moments, any favorite characters that we haven't brought up yet.
uh, I really I like that they showed so much of Miles's parents.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time, and it's a trope that I kind of hate. Well, I don't really hate it. I've just come to accept it. But
Mm-hmm.
um, the if a younger person is having some adventure, the parents are generally clueless and not really participating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're these parents are clueless because he's actively hiding them from he's hiding it from them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not like inattentive parents. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I know something's going on. You need to tell us what's going on. Like it's a major plot point,
Yeah.
and it's a major plot point when he does reveal it, and it doesn't land because
Right.
there's no spider. Like I don't know what Spider Man is because they
Right.
don't have a Spider Man.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you know what? I will. This will be the last thing I'll say about it,
Okay.
and how well thought out these films are. Again, the first one is one of my favorite movies,
Mm-hmm.
and in the original one, he gets bitten, and he's like, no, 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 this can't be what I think it is. He pokes a spider, and it glitches.
Right.
It actually glitches,
Right.
and I had always taken that to like, okay, well, my head canon was okay, well, it's dead, and it's got like the invisibility power, and this is a very artsy film.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it was just a an artistic approach to show dramatic effect.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it actually glitches because it's glitching because it's from another dimension.
Right.
So wonderfully done.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent
Yeah.
touch.
Lots of great callbacks, lots of great continuity, and it rewards those who have, loved the first one and watched it so many times. I did, as you were kind of talking about that, it made me think how they reused the joke when had the opening fight in the museum with the Renaissance vulture and whatnot. Uh, one of the observers said, "I think it's a Banksy." Like I remember
Yeah.
that from the first one specifically. So,
Yes.
nice little callback there. But
I'd explain that one to the kids, but
okay.
I know there was lots of um classic artwork MoMA jokes
Okay.
in there.
Yeah, yeah,
The big the balloon
yeah.
the balloon dog.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Very much looking forward to watching this again.
Yeah, yeah, and very much looking forward to Beyond the Spider Verse. So
Hmm.
hopefully that doesn't get delayed in the wake of this writer's strike and all these delays that are happening. But I imagine they're pretty far along with production, like having.
I was going to ask if there's a speculated or announced release date for that.
Um, let's see. It looks like it's currently slated to release March 29th, 2024. So
Oh, okay.
that is subject to change, but about a year away.
That's about what I was expecting. I was hopeful that that'd be like the end of the year,
Yeah.
but fine.
Yeah, just builds up the anticipation and the hype a little bit more. So,
Yeah, and I think we got this one a little earlier than they were initially predicting too, right? Didn't they?
well, I think it originally had a release date of like October, and I
Yeah,
don't think it was like a rewrite situation. Maybe they need more time on the animation, but I really think that they. It'll be interesting to see what this opening box office does because projections for it were pretty high, And I think they made the right call making this more of like a summer blockbuster release, and I think it'll benefit from kids being out of school and people being able to
Mhm.
see it during the day, and just like us talking about going to see it again as soon as possible. People's schedules are generally a little more free in the summertime to do that kind of thing. So I think it was a good bet and it'll pay off, but we will see. So
Yep.
all right. Before we get out of here, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Animation Deliberation is very grateful for our current partnership with the BlendJet. So, again, this is a product that I am super happy and grateful to have the opportunity to talk about because it's a product that I use every single day. It has the power of a blender, but it's portable and convenient. So, there's not the big to do when it comes to busting out this appliance out of like a cupboard or something like that. I just keep it on top of my dresser and just grab it and go. So super convenient. So the BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. And it lasts for 15 plus 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. And best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. And I'd be remiss, sorry to use that word again, but that's just what's coming to mind here. But if I did not talking about Spider-Verse and just the sheer variety of art styles and characters that we got to see,
Mhm.
that ties right into the BlendJet because they have over 30 cool colors and patterns to choose from. And as animation fans, it's pretty awesome that they have lines dedicated to some of our favorite animation franchises like Pixar. There's a whole Toy Story line. So I encourage you to check it out and pick the one that speaks to you and your fandom. And they've also recently introduced the Orbiter lid. This is a leak-proof lid, so your favorite ensemble is safe from spillage with this lid. It's got one-hand convenience. You've got your hands full. Luckily, you only need a thumb to open this lid. It's got a large opening that's perfect for thick smoothies. There's even room for a straw if that's the way you like to sip. And it's self-cleaning. Simply spin the lid and rinse. It's engineered to keep spills at bay. So what are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever. All right. John, I open up the floor to you again. What would you like the people to know about? I will vouch for you that Captain Game Show is a wonderfully entertaining podcast. It's got great, witty games and interactivity, and it's just very evident about the amount of work that you put into it and the dedication that you have. So it's always an entertaining listen, and I've had the pleasure of appearing on it and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I should have you back. My production has slowed of late. It used to be weekly,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's more like I don't know, 2-3 times a month
Okay.
ideally. Um, but yeah, I've your ad for me was better than anything I would have said. Yeah, it's a trivia, wordplay, um, improv, and every season, in addition to the games that we play on the episode, there is a hidden game
Mm,
that that runs through the entire season.
yeah.
Find the clues, follow the path, solve the riddle, win a
Mm.
prize. Uh, yeah, Captain Game Show on the Infinite Potato Alliance, anywhere you find your fine podcasts.
Right on. Yeah, I think I tried to play the hidden game a couple seasons back, and I'm not smart enough for that. I was very, very confused and very lost, but that's okay. It was still fun. So,
I'll take it.
yeah. As for me, I've been appearing on a lot of podcasts on the Stranded Panda Network. Multiverse News is a relatively new show. I'm really excited to be working with Matthew Carroll, Haley Hobbs, and Jay Sisson on that one. We drop that one weekly and talk about the latest and greatest in the world of blockbuster film news, streaming news, all that stuff. So I encourage you to check that out. And the Bingers Assembled Bingers Assemble series on the Mission Impossible films has just started. So we've got 6 films to cover before Dead Reckoning Part 1 drops in July, and that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that team over there, so please check it out. And as far as Animation Deliberation goes, like I said, I'm sure my co-hosts are going to want to talk about this one soon, so I encourage you, the listeners, to send us some feedback. animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com is a great place to do that. All of our social medias, just search Animation Deliberation. And, we'd like a 5-star review if you feel we're worthy of it. That'll help us. That'll help our visibility and our numbers. And if not, if you just want to share the show with an animation lover in your life, we would certainly appreciate it. So thank you for tuning in. That's TOONIN.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.